What do you think you have found here in this dying world? Hi, my name is Cecil and welcome to Custom Hammer. This lady here is Terra Branford from Final Fantasy VI, well, Final Fantasy III for our North American brothers. Anyhow, Terra is the protagonist of, well, she is one of the main playable characters, okay? Anyhow, the Magitech armor has arms and claws. Terra is a magic user, although a human. Canonically, her hair is blonde. Okay, now I understand why he's angry all the time. Okay, her hair is green because she was designed by Mrs. Kazuko Shibuya. Mr. Amano took over later on and made her blonde. Okay, Terra has green hair, and that's a fact. You see, these kinds of details matter to me because I try to paint my models based on lore. That is why I always say do your research, and if you take on a commission, always ask the buyer for important details. Anyhow, before we start our journey, there is something I would like to clarify. I really don't like videos that are cut in parts. However, for this build, it is just not possible to make one big video. I have amassed about 100 hours worth of material, and it's a pain to edit. It is time consuming, so please forgive me in advance. There will be 3 parts. So I'm trying my best to show you in detail the whole process in the best possible way that I can afford. And with that out of the way, let us start our journey to Nars. Usually, I start my videos depicting the beginning of a build, but in this case I decided I should start the video halfway through. I have already filled up my model with polyester resin, and now I am at the stage where I am drilling to put pins on all the parts of the model. I pay special attention to pieces that don't fit well, such as the right foot of the Magitech armor. Here, as you can see, the right foot is a little bit wobbly. I will not fix this issue until much later, because I want to check that all the other parts fit well. So, I took my trusty 2mm galvanized steel wire and proceeded to the next part. Marble filler, the best putty that is also a glue. It is polyester, which means it needs a hardener. It's very easy to use, and it's much cheaper alternative than the Tamiya yellow putty. Here I have mixed some and put it into a syringe so I could inject it directly into the foot. The small hole that I drilled is for the air to get out. This green grinding wheel is a nylon wheel, and it is great for sanding. Totally recommend this one. They come in various colors, meaning that each color is a different grit. The left foot on the Magitech armor is a little more stable, so I decided to put the pin now. You gotta love sanding. What I'm using here is a mix of CA glue with baby powder, also known as talc. I use this solution to cover small holes because polyester putty is very thick and almost always has bubbles inside. It is not ideal for finishing jobs. Here I proceeded dry fitting the next parts of the model and I put pins where it was needed. This is scraping. Scraping is a great technique, especially if the model has intricate details. Scraping helps a lot to remove support marks left behind from the 3D printing process. Note that the supports that I use have a special setting that at the tip of each support they have a small ball shape, so when I break the supports off, that small ball stays behind and I just scrape it off, which is a lot easier than having to fill the dips. Also, I always remove my supports after I have dipped the parts in warm water. This way, they practically fall off on their own, leaving behind minimal damage. Lastly, I use an old and very dull hobby knife because it is easier to control and I don't run the risk of cutting myself. Of course, all that in conjunction with all the other tools that I use for sanding. Bath time. This is Swaz, a popular product here in Greece. And in case what I'm showing you seems like Greek to you, that's because it is. Swaz is a condensed soap. You can use whatever soap you like, just make sure it can clean grease and oils. That's what the label says. Now, after the bath is complete, I drill with a 2mm to make holes for the wood sticks. This step is very important because we're about to start painting and touching a model at the painting stage is a no-no. Also, I wear a glove because now that the parts are clean, I don't want oils from my hand to spoil the surface. The surface needs to be very clean so that the primer I am about to spray will adhere better to the model. For very small pieces, such as this, I use paper clips. Now I'm going to show you a very useful technique for small parts that are already pinned. Drill a small hole on the flat end of the wooden stick and then put the pin in. In case you need more stability, tie the end with a zip tie. Now that all the parts are clean and on sticks, it's time for the first primer. I say first primer because any imperfections will show after this step, so it is quite possible to sand and prime again. As I have previously said, the best paint job is the preparation steps before. Also, I use two types of primer, Mr. Hobby grey color and automotive primer, which is black. I tend to prime everything with the automotive primer because it is cheaper and I keep Mr. Hobby for figurines and portraits mostly. Also, please always wear a mask when sanding and spraying anything, especially indoors. What did I tell you? Primer shows imperfections. Ergo, primer is your best friend. Masking time. A simple step but time consuming. This black gooey thing is masking putty from green stuff. Amazing product, does not leave any residue, it is reusable, I highly recommend it. Okay, time for some theory here. Tamiya colors are acrylic but solvent based, therefore you need special thinners. I use Mr. Hobby because they are compatible. But metallic colors have a powdered style that makes them shine. If you use leveling thinner, it takes some time to dry and the color loses its shine because the powder settles down. That is why for metallic colors we use rapid thinner. As you spray it through the airbrush, the color is practically dry when it reaches the model. Therefore, it keeps its shine. How to paint gold. Kudos to Barbatos Rex for this technique. First, you spray a nice even layer of metallic silver, something bright and shiny. After it dries, you mix two clear colors together, clear yellow and clear brown. If you don't have brown, then you can use clear orange. Thin the solution with a leveling thinner this time. This is also called candy paint. Metallic color underneath with a clear color on top. The result is very nice in person, and you can see the hue of the color on top and still see the metallic shine underneath. Let it dry and remove the masking tape. Time for some touch-ups. Here I used a very thin metallic blue for the arches in the middle of the base. Very nice result. Depending on the light, sometimes look grey and other times blue. Continuing the work, nothing special here, masking, painting and fixing mistakes. Dry brush. I used different metallic colors to dry brush some parts to help pop out the details. Previously you watched me briefly put some grey liquid on this round thing. This is called panel liner and comes in different colors. The best way to remove any excess is with a Q-tip dipped in lighter fluid. For some reason, lighter fluid removes panel liner but doesn't affect the paint at all. But just in case, I put some gloss varnish before the panel liner. It also helps improve the flow. Now, moving on with the paint job. Black panel liner to help darken the recesses. Also give a weathered look. And of course, brown panel liner for weathering in conjunction with the black. Weathering is so satisfying. Oils have dripped here and there, paint has chipped, other things look rusty. Yeah, I love this step, never get tired of it. These are watercolor pencils. They help with the weathering process. Also, dry pastels are excellent for weathering. Keynote here, dry pastels, not oil pastels. But those pencils are awesome and enough to get the job done. I had the brightest idea to use grey panel liner for this piece. Spoiler alert, I didn't like it at all, so I repainted it. Candy paint again. As you can see, I am going really slow. I thinned my paint a little more than usual and lowered the air pressure on my airbrush, so I can go very close. Don't mind the overspray at this point, because I will paint with clear yellow the other parts, and where the blue and the yellow meet will create a nice green transition. With some gunmetal, I fixed some of the overspray I thought was out of place. That is the thing I mentioned that I repainted, because I didn't like the panel liner effect. In case someone knows what that is supposed to be, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. After I finished the base, I started working on the match deck. I dry brushed some titanium silver to give it a weathered look, and also when I do the gold trim later on, this will help the gold paint to adhere better on the edges. Time for the gold trim. I choose old gold from AK and their retarder. Now, retarder is your friend here because you will definitely make mistakes, such as I. And if the paint dries slowly, we'll help you correct those mistakes. It is far better to do 2 or 3 layers with your brush than having to correct smudges all over. Please note that the parts at this stage are varnished. When you're doing gold trim, try to paint with your brush tilted 45 degrees. This will help your lines stay clean. I totally forgot about these parts, that they have a white color. No foreshadowing here whatsoever. Nope, no foreshadowing here, sir. Good day, sir. After the white layer has dried, I fixed the overspray using black from Tamiya. And with this cliffhanger, I have to leave you for now. This is the end of the first part. There will be 3 parts in total, as I mentioned. I will do my best and try to edit the rest of the videos and upload them each week. So, in case you like this video, you can put a sticky note on your fridge and remind yourself to buy some milk. Also, you can tune in next week in case you want to see the rest of the episodes. But you thought I was gonna say please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Smooches from Greece. Bye!